So today, two characters or two figures re-emerge in the story. One of them is King Herod. When the wise men came from east, they went to King Herod and asked him, "We heard about the coming or the birth of the new king. Where is he?" And obviously King Herod had no idea about this, and this was something that challenged him very much. So King Herod is the first character that re-emerges in the story today, and the second character is Joseph. And today I would like us to talk about these two people and learn some lessons, some very important lessons from these two historical characters. King Herod was an infanticide, a person who had killed his own children. When he realized that his own sons were becoming powerful, he felt that his own sons were becoming a challenge for him. He had ordered their execution. And this is an extra biblical historical fact that we know about. King Herod was a very insecure person. And we also have Joseph, to whom the angel had appeared, and to whom the angel told to be the protector of baby Jesus. Now, when we compare these two characters, we see that it was Joseph who had every reason to be someone insecure. Because in a dream, the angel had appeared to him, and he had learned that his fiancée, Mary, was pregnant. And yes, the angel gave him reassurance that this was a miracle. This was a child that was given from God. But try to go and tell that to your community members. Try to go and tell that to your family members. To say that, yes, I'm married to a person who is pregnant. And we're talking about 2,000 years ago. That was not something easy for any man to go through. But we see in Joseph someone who was very secure. He knew that this was the message to him that came from God, and he did whatever God told him to do. He became a protector of the child Jesus. Whereas Herod, who had every reason to be secure, at the end of the day, he was the king. People would do whatever he ordered them to do. He was so insecure. As I said, he had executed his own children. And when we continue reading the narratives, we see that he orders the execution of every child 2 years and below in the vicinity of Bethlehem. He commits a genocide just to feel secure about himself, just to feel that his throne and his authority is not challenged. We're talking about two fathers, two father figures, and see how the sins of the fathers affect one person to another, they go from one generation to another. The insecurity of one person becomes the instrument of death of the next generations. Whereas the security and the faith of Joseph protects baby Jesus. And Joseph does this because he trusts the will of God. And today's message, my brothers and sisters, is for us to learn to obey the will of God. This is a foreign idea nowadays to this generation, because we belong to a society that promotes self-sufficiency, that promotes that we need to rely on ourselves because we know the best what we want. But when we look at it, we know that this idea is not a new one. This has existed from the first day. When we go to the book of Genesis, the stories of the creation, we see that the first man, Adam and Eve, they wanted to follow their own will and not the will of God. I don't claim that the story of the book of Genesis to be a historic event, but it is constructed in such a deep way that is so powerful, it's so meaningful. It tells us that when Adam and Eve pursue their own will and they break the God-given commands, they have a huge discovery. Do you know what they discovered? They discovered that they are naked. This is our own reality. When we pursue our own will and we tell God, God, we don't need you, we don't want you, at the end of the day, we discover that we are naked, we are vulnerable, we are nothing. And yet, I know way too many people who, pursuing their own will, they commit sins that affects them, it affects their lives, their decisions. I know a person whom I'm working with, and he keeps telling me that I know what's wrong, but when I have this urge, this feeling, I can't stop it. I just have to do it. And every time that he engages in those types of activities, he finds himself in a worse position than what he was before. There are even religious leaders who they just want to do their own will. And that causes them not only to sin personally, but that causes scandals for the entire communities. We have a role model in St. Joseph that we need to follow, and that is to discern and to try to follow the will of God. It's not always easy. Joseph's life was not easy because God told him to go to Bethlehem. He went to Bethlehem. From Bethlehem, God told him to go to Egypt, a totally foreign land. He went to Egypt. And then God told him to come back to Israel. He went back to Israel, to Judea, and then he felt insecure there. The angel told him again to go and live in Galilee. Now, I don't anticipate and expect that tonight when you go and sleep, God will send the angels and all of us will have dreams. That's very explicit. It happened to Joseph. I hope it will happen to some of you. Never happened to me. But God communicates to us in very implicit ways. And if we are discerning, we get to know what is God's will. Because once we know what is God's will, then we know what is our destination. The problem with our society, the problem with the youth especially, is that they have lost their destination. They don't know where they're going. God is our compass. God gives us our destination. Discern and seek the will of God. And if God gives you some hard pills to swallow, God will do that, trust me. Know that in the interim, God will teach us humility and God will give us wisdom.